Welcome to today's explainer. Let's just jump right into it, because today we're tackling one of the absolute most frustrating, invisible struggles out there. Imagine dealing with chronic, debilitating dizziness, the kind that literally disrupts your entire life. You go to the doctor, they run MRIs, they do these extensive ear exams, and the results? Absolutely nothing is wrong. It is incredibly disheartening when your medical tests come back totally normal, yet you feel like the ground is constantly shifting beneath you. Today we're going to unpack exactly what is happening in your body, and more importantly, how to fix it. Let me ask you a question to see if this actually applies to you. Do you frequently experience a floating or swaying sensation? Kind of like you're unsteady on your feet? But you don't actually get the traditional head pain you might expect from a severe headache. Well, if you're nodding your head right now, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to explore a very specific condition where pain isn't the main player, but rather a profoundly disrupted sense of balance. All right, Section 1, the invisible dizziness mystery. We really need to take a moment to acknowledge the immense frustration of suffering from these hidden symptoms. When you feel absolutely terrible, but every scan, every MRI, and every specialized ear exam comes back showing a perfectly healthy brain and inner ear, man, it's easy to feel totally lost. Let's contrast what we usually think of as a migraine with what you might actually be experiencing. A standard migraine is, famous for intense throbbing head pain, but the mysterious condition we're looking at today completely flips the script. Instead of physical pain, intense dizziness and sensory overload take center stage. You might not have a headache at all, but your world is spinning, swaying, and entirely overwhelming. Let's mentally check off some of these bizarre symptoms together. Do you have a persistent floating feeling? Does your visual field seem to literally sway? What about an intense sensitivity to bright lights, loud noises, or even strong smells? Oh, and what about nausea, or feeling noticeably worse when the weather changes or when you're under stress? Look, if these sound familiar, you definitely aren't alone. This specific cluster of symptoms heavily impacts women in particular, and it is incredibly often misdiagnosed, sometimes mistakenly treated as a standard inner ear infection or just generic vertigo. So let's formally introduce the culprit. This condition is called a vestibular migraine. Honestly, just giving this invisible struggle a real medical name can bring a huge wave of psychological relief. It's a very real condition, causing recurring dizziness and profound sensory hypersensitivity. And yes, it frequently happens entirely without actual headaches. Your dizziness isn't just in your head. Well, actually, scratch that. It is in your head, but definitely not in the way people might think. Moving on to Section 2, a hypersensitive, oxygen-deprived brain. Let's transition into the actual mechanics of this mystery. We need to uncover exactly how this happens biologically inside your head to cause such a wild array of sensory issues. Here's the core issue. Your brain hasn't been damaged. Rather, it has become incredibly hypersensitive. Under normal circumstances, our brains expertly filter and process the everyday sights, sounds, and balance information around us. But in a vestibular migraine, the brain treats those normal stimuli as overwhelming, exhausting threats. It basically starts misprocessing basic information, making you feel completely off balance. Here is the biological domino effect at play. It all starts with poor blood flow to the brain. When blood flow is restricted, it quite literally starves the brain of the essential oxygen it needs to function properly. And without enough oxygen, the brain goes into a sort of panic mode, triggering this intense and debilitating hypersensitivity. It's a complete chain reaction of oxygen deprivation. Section 3, the surprising root cause. So why is the blood flow restricted in the first place? Well, we're going to investigate where this restricted blood flow actually originates, and I guarantee it's not where you think. Here is the massive plot twist. Look at this chain of events. That restricted blood flow in your brain actually originates from a distorted physical foundation, all the way down in your feet. Yep, unstable feet create an uneven center of gravity in your body. To compensate for leaning to one side, your neck muscles become incredibly stiff and tight, and it is that severe neck tension that acts like a kink in a garden hose, blocking the crucial blood flow right up to your brain. So let me ask you, have you ever sprained your ankle? And I don't just mean a major injury that puts you in a cast. Even a history of minor ankle sprains, or just a tendency to roll your ankles when walking, is absolutely crucial information. These past injuries, even if they happened years and years ago, create a lingering instability in your physical foundation. And that is what's causing your uneven gravity, your tight neck, and ultimately, today's dizziness. Section 4, 3 dizziness relief mistakes. Naturally, when people feel dizzy and sensitive to light, they try to find relief. But we need to address the red herrings, the incredibly common things people do to try and feel better that actually make the condition much, much worse. So, the absolute most crucial point is avoiding this massive mistake, reducing your environmental stimuli to zero. When light and sound literally hurt, it's so tempting to hide in a completely dark, silent room all day. But paradoxically, completely avoiding all stimulation doesn't heal the brain. It actually makes the brain even more sensitive and hyperreactive to the world when you eventually have to leave that dark room. Here are the 3 major mistakes laid out. First, as we just mentioned, avoiding all stimulation traps you in that hypersensitivity. Second, taking absolute rest. Lying perfectly still all day stops your blood flow from circulating effectively, worsening that oxygen deprivation. And third, maintaining a stiff neck posture, especially from looking down at a smartphone or laptop for hours on end. You absolutely need moderate movement to keep that blood flowing to the brain. Okay, Section 5, stabilizing your foundation. This is the resolution phase. We're going to go over actionable physical adjustments and a bit of detective work you can do right now at home to fix this root cause from the ground up. Okay, I'm going to ask you to do something right now. Pause this explainer if you have to, and literally go grab the shoes you wear every single day. Go on, grab them. We're going to do a live 3-point check on your footwear together to see if your shoes are secretly destroying your foundation. Got your shoe? Great. Step 1, squeeze the heel from both sides. It must be hard. If it easily collapses, your ankle is completely unstable. Step 2, bend the shoe from front to back. It should really only bend at the front 1/3, right where your toes naturally bend. If it bends right in the middle, it is not supporting your foot's arch. Step 3, twist the shoe gently from side to side. It must resist twisting. A shoe that wrings out like a wet towel? No way. That will leave your feet dangerously wobbly every time you take a step. Now, if your shoes pass the test, or honestly, even if they didn't, we need to address your feet directly. People with unstable feet almost always have inactive, playing toes, meaning your toes aren't actually gripping or engaging with the ground when you stand. We need to reawaken them to stabilize your body's foundation, and we'll do this with 3 really quick self-care exercises. Exercise 1 is all about ankle mobility. Sit down and place your foot comfortably on your opposite thigh. Now, take your hand and tightly interlace your fingers directly between your toes, kind of like you're holding hands with your foot. Once you're locked in, rotate your ankle in big, slow circles 10 times for each foot. And don't worry, if you hear a bunch of popping or cracking sounds, that is completely normal and safe. It might be stiff at first, but it's going to loosen up. Next is a toe massage to really loosen up those foot muscles. Keep your foot right there on your thigh, bend the knuckles of your hand, and use them to massage the spaces right at the base of your toes, basically between the bones. Apply gentle pressure, make small circular motions, and focus on any areas that feel particularly stiff or sore. Do this for about 30 seconds on each foot. This dramatically improves your toe mobility. The final exercise is a stretch for the top of your foot and your shin. Sit on the floor in a kneeling position with the tops of your feet flat against the ground. Place your hands on the floor behind you for some support, and then slowly lean your upper body backward. You'll feel a deep stretch along your instep and the front of your shins. Hold this for 30 seconds. A quick note here though, please only lean back as far as it feels good, and definitely make sure to protect your knees. Consistency is absolutely key here. You need to perform these 3 simple exercises twice daily, once in the morning and once at night. By consistently doing this, you are actively rebuilding your physical foundation. And remember how this works? A stable foundation corrects your center of gravity, which relaxes your neck, which ultimately restores healthy blood flow back up to your oxygen-deprived brain, clearing out that dizziness for good. We've covered a lot of fascinating ground today. It is incredible to think that such intense, brain-centered sensory overload can be traced all the way down to a wobbly ankle or an unsupportive shoe. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to consider. If your chronic dizziness actually starts in your feet, what other mysterious invisible symptoms in your body could simply be the result of a weak foundation? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, take care of those feet.